This is Montego Bradley from Fans of Patrol, and you're listening to the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one.
Quarter pounder with cheese and France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you are listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And triggered John, apparently. Something. Go ahead.
Entertain JD.
Entertain, yes.
Yes, and wow, this week we have a lot to talk about. We got some DC Batman casting news. We've got some interesting, more directors hating on Marvel news, and we have a very fun video to talk about in the Star Wars world. And I'm going to end it all with an interview with Cynthia Von Buhler. So you guys ready to go?
Oh, yeah. Let's start right away with what we just did.
Apparently.
Sure, why not? Yes. So I wanted to talk some Star Wars this week because the trailer comes out tonight, but it'll be out after we're done recording. So God gave us a gift, and that gift is Freddie Prince Jr.
He is incredible. He's so much smarter than I think people realize. Like, not that people think he's an idiot, but I don't know if people realize just how sharp Freddie Prinze really is.
Right. So for those who don't know, and we are going to include the audio clip of him. He was on I believe it was a podcast, and they were talking about the Star Wars movies and the fans' current reaction to what's going on. And I'm not going to do much setup. That's the clip, and here, we're going to play it right now.
I did a Star Wars cartoon, so even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right. Yep.
The second three were for different fucking kids, and this one is for kids. You just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl.
Yes.
That's it. Because Luke Skywalker's Cinderella. Or Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
Okay? He can talk to things that don't speak English and understands what they're fucking saying. He gets a fairy godfather instead of a fairy godmother who teaches him how to be the best Jedi in the world in no time fucking flat. And everybody, I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him. And all these video games have fucked people up on what the Force is. Like, Luke's skill doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses.
Right.
The Emperor doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Force dictates who wins or loses based on balance. And here's the quick version on how to explain it to all these people who fucking think they get to decide. In the first if you want to do this like time-wise, Palpatine, you would say, and Yoda are the smartest too. Palpatine clearly smarter because Yoda was blind to the power of the dark side and the seduction of Anakin. So let's talk about the seduction of Anakin fucking Skywalker for a second. If the Emperor is the smartest dude in the universe and knows that the Force dictates this, if he kills who he sees as a rival, Anakin, then he knows the Force is just going to fucking correct that because the Emperor knows this. These are George Lucas's words, not mine. So fuck you if you disagree with me. Straight up. This is information, not affirmation time. Straight up, man. So the Emperor knows that. So instead of killing Anakin, what does he do? He seduces Anakin to double the strength of the dark side. So then what does the Force do?
Balance.
It balances us. How? It gives us twins, Luke and Leia, 2 and fucking 2. balance. And if you look at the movie through just that simple perspective, you will not only know why every single bad guy loses and every single good guy loses, you'll know who's going to win and lose in the next fucking movies. I can tell you, I just don't want to wreck it. People bitch about the dumbest shit like it's archetype characters. This is George Lucas's words. There is no Jack Bauer in Star Wars. That character doesn't exist. It's not Han Solo. Han Solo is a reluctant hero, okay? He's a reluctant hero. That's the archetype. Darth Maul, who everybody wants to win, and he's everyone's favorite because he looks sick and he's great in the video games.
Does look cool.
Fuck you guys. He's Sisyphus. He is born to fail. Learn your Greek mythology like, I don't know, George fucking Lucas did. He's cursed to roll a boulder up the hill only to have it roll to the bottom again every single time for eternity.
Yes.
That is Darth Maul's quest.
Yes.
He's in on the joke, you guys. He knows it. He's just cursed to live that life. Again, not my opinion. George Lucas's. So go fuck yourself if you disagree. You don't get to level up in the Star Wars world. That's a fucking video game. There's no such thing as a gray Jedi. Qui-Gon even says, I turn towards the light because it's there. There's no gray. That's pretend fan fiction shit, which is cool, but don't try to canonize it because it doesn't work. And I'm never going to buy it ever. Star Wars is for fucking kids. Sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, so, John, you just watched the video, and you said you're triggered. Could you elaborate on that?
I mean, this is either the most, this is either the most zen way of looking at Star Wars or the most nihilistic way of looking at it. It's like, it's basically, I don't know. God, what I need is time to process this because that is like the best rant I have heard all year.
Where did you see nihilism in that?
Well, it's like, how do I say this? So basically, when you're watching something as epic as Star Wars, you're basically hoping for everything that your childhood has ever been screaming for. But you're also hoping for, like you're hoping for a good storyline, a coherent storyline, a coherent timeline, all these characters to be, icons and avatars of all these different aspects of heroism that you've been reading about since your youth. And basically what Freddie Prince Jr. is saying is, get over yourself. It's made for kids. There's never going to be a winner, and just deal with it.
No, that's not what he said at all.
But I think he said there's balance in the Force. So basically, every time the good rises, the bad will rise to meet it.
You're missing.
But that's
cherry picking.
I think.
Well, like I think I should have watched it a few times and processed. But this is what I got like right off the bat. Like I just saw it a minute ago.
I think what it boils down to is what he's saying is all these fans and the extended universe stuff that, of course, now Marvel has said doesn't exist. It's not canon.
Which means Chewbacca never got killed by a moon falling into a planet. Okay.
That people want these complex stories and the idea of these gray Jedi and all this stuff, and he's boiling it down saying, no, it's a simplistic black and white, good versus evil story. The Force decides to keep balance, and it's good versus evil, and that's it. Like, there is no middle road. There's no intricate stories. I mean, the most perfect thing he said, and it's true, and I never thought about it until he laid it out, is Luke Skywalker is Cinderella, and Obi-Wan is his fairy godfather, and he didn't go this far, but you could say the lightsaber is the glass slipper, his father's lightsaber. So it's like, oh wow, like.
Well, that does track. I mean, he said exactly what happened, which is, they didn't even have a montage. They just, oh, look, I'm your fairy godmother. Here's fairy godfather. Here's a lightsaber. Okay, you're now the Jedi.
That's what I've been saying for months. He put it eloquent. Like, I didn't quite feel like that, but I mean, like, he was spot on right. George Lucas always called it a fairy tale. And, like, that's what I don't understand, that people are, like, seeing stuff that's not in the original trilogy.
But that's why I'm saying it's nihilistic or it's completely Zen. It's Zen in that, look, it's a fairy tale, just enjoy it for what it is and stop reading into it. Or it's nihilistic where I know you were hoping for this, you're reading all this stuff into it, and you're wrong. And it's never going to be that.
But I don't think anyone's necessarily wrong about it. I just think people are like, I do think he's mad because people are mad because, like, what do you say? Chewbacca gave the Millennium Falcon to a girl. Like, I don't see I literally haven't seen the differences.
That's not from the fandom. That's from the Comicsgate people, but.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Too many in my opinion. But I think he just nailed it. Like, and this dude has done work for Lucasfilm and has been in the meetings and has heard the spiel. Like, this is what these movies are and what they always have been. It's not Dune. It's Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah, it's not Star Trek. It's Star Wars.
Right.
There's no complicated interplay of emotions behind it. It's basically it's your spaghetti western with lightsabers but complete with black hat and white hat.
Which was always what it was. That's what it always was.
Mm.
Like when Darth Vader gets introduced on screen with that big John Williams dumb stuff, like, oh, this is the bad guy.
Yeah, well, he's all dressed in black and he's
right. The big black
breathing
helmet.
like that.
Yeah, you go, oh, villain.
Yeah,
like
it's funny. This brings to mind my brother. Both my brothers are big Disney fans, and they were. I stopped over my mom's yesterday, and my one brother was there, and he's like, I was like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm going out with our other brother to see Maleficent 2. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, Ed bought the tickets and wants me to go along, and he hated the first one, and that's like the whole thing is that, yes, Cinderella's a black and white, good versus evil story, but then they go and make this story about the evil queen and try to make it like, oh, sympathy for the bad guy, and it changes our dynamic. And like, we have this weird obsession in our society today of having sympathy for the villain, and it's like, but do we need that? Especially in Star Wars, like it's black hats and white hats. It's a fairy tale. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Conversely, it seems like there's so many it seems like the normies are really taking to the Joker film, where a lot of the more comic book people are kind of like, we didn't need this.
Right.
Right, well, because the comic book purists, which some of us are, it's like the Joker is a force of nature. We don't need to know where he came from because he is what he is. He's a perfect foil for Batman, and we're not ever really supposed to know how he came to be because it's not pertinent to what he is.
So
you're
arguing for more complexity in Star Wars, but you don't
less complexity in Batman.
But yes.
Not less complexity. There is a space for mystery. Sometimes you know this, JD. You're an author. Sometimes a person's imagination is way better than anything you can come up with.
I agree.
So, with the way the Joker is, that was part of the mystery, and they're doing this with Star Wars, right? The Solo movie. We didn't need to know where the dice came from that one scene in the first movie where they decided to add it to the third movie and why Solo got his name. And we didn't need to know that.
Agreed. Has anyone ever walked out of a prequel and said, man, I'm glad I have all that backstory?
I don't think so.
No. Although the first prequel that they made, the one that didn't have to do with the main characters, what was it? The one where they all die at the end. Rogue One, yeah. That was okay. It was backstory, but it was a story unto itself. And the ending was pretty good. So, I'll give them that. But the Solo movie was just completely, I think they thought it was fan service, but it was really just a money grab. And here's some more explanations that nobody asked for.
Fan service is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Rogue One was fun. The Solo one wasn't, and I don't know how the Mandalorian's going to shake out, but so
Got my curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, the previews or the trailers look good, but who knows? Who knows what it'll be when we get there? So yeah, this Freddie Prince thing is like, well, yeah, it's like shut up, fans. It's like,
no, it's not shut up, fans. It's shut up, nerds.
Yeah, but we never do. This is our thing.
Stop.
We argue over minutia.
It's why we have a show.
It's
that's true.
It's more shut up. Stop asking for something more complex and adult for something that's meant for kids.
Right. I think we do that too much. Like, I think people want. I think you put it best thing. The stories don't get to grow up with the fandom. The exception, I think, is maybe Harry Potter, where that was the purpose.
Right.
Because that went from being like YA fiction to pretty much adult fiction, But that's not what Star Wars is supposed to be.
But then again, you think about it, most works like this, they would be so lucky as to have people so invested in them that they would argue about these things.
Oh, I agree. There's very few things that inspire this type of passion.
Right.
Genre fiction, man.
This is true. Stuff like social media madness.
Okay.
No, nobody's interested in that. It's like,
well, we got a couple things here to talk about, I think. We had talked about Disney had greenlit the R-rated Deadpool 3, and we also know that Ryan Reynolds is returning to the role. We had a couple...
Like anybody else could take it.
Well, that was the thing that got me, was like, some people were like, oh, it wasn't a sure thing. I'm like, no, they're not going to throw money away.
Yep.
Like, they're saying it wasn't a sure thing that Ryan Reynolds was coming back, and I'm like, yeah, no, he's the one that made those movies a success. You're not going to recreate that, So, MS.
Maybe they can let Ben Affleck play him, right?
MS, Harlock of Avalon, said, hopefully they give the writers free rein to do what they want, and then those writers make fun of Captain Marvel for hours.
Captain Marvel wasn't that bad.
No, it had a girl.
It had what?
It had a girl.
No.
Bad.
Do they exist?
No, I don't. Well, my issue isn't that it was a girl. My issue is that it wasn't a great story. It wasn't done well, I don't think.
I don't think it was done bad, but I mean, it's definitely not my favorite Marvel movie. I think there's a better movie to be had.
Yes.
Look at Thor.
Exactly. She hasn't gotten her Ragnarok yet, so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when she does, it'll be pretty awesome.
House of D said, I congratulate Disney on making the tough decision. On one hand, there's millions of dollars. On the other hand, there's a bunch of pissed off geeks. Hard choice indeed.
Well said.
And our good friend Rob Foster said, but this means a nice parent-approved Deadpool will be strolling around the Disneyland for a year. My God, what have they done?
To be fair, I don't think any of the Marvel characters get to stroll along Disneyland because of their Islands of Adventure contract.
I know.
You done built a straw man, sir.
Oh, one day, hopefully, they'll get the rights back. I can go hang out with Spider-Man.
Sound like my 3-year-old.
Yes. Don't you want to hang out with Spider-Man?
Well, heck, when they get the rights back, you'll see Spider-Man swinging through Epcot Center.
There you go.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be awesome.
We had talked about Chris Hemsworth and he wanting to reboot The Three Amigos with his buddies Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And of course, people had things to say about that. World Film Ghoulie? Okay. said, if Downey is Lucky Day, Hemsworth as Dusty Bottoms, and Evans as Ned Needlander, yeah, I can see it, especially My Little Buttercup. See?
As the big smile.
See, I told you Hemsworth was a Rusty Bottom.
I can't remember which guy was which.
That's.
I'll acquiesce to my more well researched.
That's Martin Short's character.
Ghoulies fan.
And then,
you ever see Ghoulies?
I was going to mention it, but
no. What is that? It sounds familiar.
It's like a Gremlins ripoff. It's one of those like in the mid '80s they had a bunch of like little monster movies to like play up the sense of Gremlins. It has like one of the greatest VHS box covers ever, and it's this little green monster popping out of a toilet bowl.
Was it? I thought it was a Critters knockoff, or is Critters a knockoff of Ghoulies, which is a knockoff of Gremlins?
I believe Critters is a knockoff of Gremlins. And then, sure, we can go Ghoulies as a knockoff of Critters, but it all springs from the Spielberg tree of horror. But, yeah. And it's this guy, he raises these demons, and they're terrible looking, and it sucks. But it's horribly sucks. But it's like fun horribly sucks.
Yeah, but still not as bad as Troll. So.
Oh, God. Troll 1 is actually kind of freaky and has a young Julia Louis-Dreyfus who turns into a forest nymph. Troll 2 is what's considered one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
For good reason. It's really bad.
Oh my God. Okay.
Back on track. James Herder
we have a track?
Just wanted to say, can I buy tickets now? So I think that's an idea that if they're serious about it, I think it's going to happen.
I mean, like they remake everything else. Why not the Three Amigos?
Right. Why not make a movie that like people love, but probably don't care too much if they remake it?
You know what? While we're at it, remake Ishtar.
Oh yeah, sure. and Geely too. Let's do that.
How about Jersey Girl?
Oh God.
The problem with Jersey Girl was Geely.
Well, yes, we know this.
Or we could remake Daredevil again. Oh.
Too soon.
Too soon. And then finally we talked about the rumor that the next Avengers movie was going to be Secret Wars featuring Spider-Man. Shane Beauregard said that's a thumbs up from me. House of D said, I would rather see a Secret Invasion movie. Seems like the next step after the Skrulls were introduced in Captain Marvel and Far From Home. I think it would be a great first crossover movie for the Fantastic Four. Secret Wars should come later than the X-Men are, after the X-Men are established.
I just liked that tweet because I agree with everything he said.
You just liked it? Oh, okay.
I just clicked like while reading it because one of us actually, like when you're doing the social media stuff, like I read along with it.
Yes.
I know I'm doing it. I bet John isn't.
I think John is probably, playing a game while I'm doing this.
What? Oh, sorry. I heard my name, sorry. I agree with whatever JD said.
That's good life advice. Tell my wife that all the time.
I was going to say.
Actually, Steve, social media madness didn't make me want to murder someone this week, so.
Oh, okay. Well, good. It's working.
I know.
And then George Mitchell said, Skrull's Secret Wars or Beyonder Secret Wars? Well, George, the Skrull was Secret Invasion, and the Beyonder was Secret Wars. Yeah.
Come on, step up your nerd game, man. Don't bring that weak shit around here.
Yes. We are nerds among nerds.
Don't get nerdier.
No. So, if you want to be part of the fun every week on Superhero Speak, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Superhero Speak, on Instagram at Superhero Speak, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Superhero Speak. and maybe we'll shout you out in one of our upcoming episodes. And while you're following us, don't forget to follow the Geek World All-Stars. That includes us, Pop Prison Power Podcast, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, So Wizards, Cult 45, and Fans on Patrol. And you can check us out and look for the hashtag GW All-Stars on Twitter to find out what we're all up to. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back. And now I think we have some news to talk about.
Yes, Jesus will be appearing on the CW Crisis crossover now.
What?
Pretty much rounding out, basically the entire cast of literally everybody that's ever existed.
And Noah? Is he going to be there? Hercules, Zeus,
Gilgamesh.
Yes, and his first appearance on American TV, Muhammad shall appear on the... Oh, wait, no.
Damn it! No.
That was John O'Grady, everyone.
In the 1 second in which ensued after I announced that I think we were banned somewhere.
All right.
Now, all right. So yeah.
All right. So
let's go on to the. Oh gods.
I was actually avoiding news about the Crisis crossover this week because we've been talking about it so much, and there've already been pieces of it on the shows if you've been watching. So.
I have not.
Okay. So
I'm coming in.
Apparently, guys, it's now the in thing to crap on the Marvel movies.
Okay, if you're over 60, nothing is in. Nothing you do, nothing you say, nothing you think. You're by definition old and useless. Go to bed, Grandpa.
So, Francis Ford Coppola said that the Marvel movies were despicable. Despicable. And it basically was agreeing with, Scorsese.
You're already blocking him out, huh?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Because the world needs another Italian mob movie. And then...
Okay, whoa.
That's like, award winning.
It's the movie. It's the greatest. Like every movie that came out after that was a ripoff of it.
But
so let's not say things we can't take back.
They defined the genre.
But the two of them have made so many of those.
Not really. Just 3 for Coppola.
I wish.
Well, and 2, and then one that doesn't.
Yeah, one that's horrible.
Well, that was Sophia Coppola, but
she doesn't count. So as bad as I crapped on Iron Man 3, still better than Godfather 3.
Whoa.
That is a strong opinion, sir.
Especially from me, because you know how I feel about Iron Man 3.
Yes.
Godfather 3 is toilet paper.
Yeah. I think they should have stopped at 1. Honestly, there was no need for the other 2. They were...
The one that won the Oscar?
Yeah.
2 won the Oscar, man.
I don't care. It's 1 is the only one you need.
1 is really good, but 2 gives you De Niro as the young Don Vito, and it was a good movie.
It's just...
That's when Fredo betrays him. Like, there's a lot of stuff.
That's the same deal, though. You have 2 and 3 because I feel like they were money grabs.
Well, 2 is still based on the book. 3 is total, they're all coming from the same book, in 1 and 2. Like, Puzo did both, so I'm good with that. 3 was definitely the money grab. That's when Pacino starts, like, eating scenery.
Very much so.
Like, that's when Pacino stopped being, like, Pacino and started being Pacino, you know?
Yeah, well, I've seen that. People say that over and over again. Like, anymore, you don't get an actor when you hire Pacino. You get the same guy.
You get Pacino. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the devil the same way as he played a football coach, which I guess isn't that far.
But he played it well.
Which is the same way he played a blind
lawyer.
Yeah. But of course, James Gunn. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, has to get into it.
I don't know if he responded in kind or he was basically his response was, you guys are old.
I think he brings a good point, though. Not just that they're old, because they are old. But he's right. Like, every generation craps on what the next generation does.
Yes. Yes. He said his father complained about the movies they were making when he was young, and his grandfather complained about, the movies that when his father was young, and
James Gunn isn't that young, too. He's 53 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but compared to those two...
If you add them together.
For all this talk about the art of cinema and what cinema is, you know who isn't bitching? Werner freaking Herzog. Werner Herzog pulled a damn boat over a mountain for real to make Fitzcarraldo. Like, he really did have natives from the rainforest offer to kill Klaus Kinski and decided to film it in his movie because it worked. He's not bitching about Marvel movies. I don't want to hear about it from anybody else.
I mean, this is true, and it's my question is, who gets to decide what cinema is? Is it the people making
old Italians? Apparently,
it's the people who buy the tickets. I mean, we vote with our money.
I just feel like it's and look, I kind of get the idea of popcorn movies versus deep introspective movies and whatnot, but
that doesn't mean it's not
right,
cinema.
Exactly. And the thing is, no one's stopping you from making your funny little independent introspective movies.
Well, it's art house, and there's more of a vehicle for art house. I said this last week. There's more of a vehicle for art house films than there ever have been.
Just don't be mad that people don't want to see those movies anymore. That's what
they never did, though.
Well,
like those movies have never, like, Coppola's different because this is a guy that made like The Godfather, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now. Like, he made some big movies, and I do think like Hollywood isn't trying to make those kind of movies anymore. They really aren't. But every now and then, Chris Nolan still does his thing.
Yeah.
A big director wants to make a big, powerful movie. They still have the opportunity. Scorsese still gets to do whatever the hell he wants when he wants to. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot. The Coen brothers are still doing their thing. Like, it's just, I get tired of old people telling me what I should think.
So,
when all I would need to do is clean their diaper.
What this brings to mind, and I know this is going to be a weird comparison, but Kevin Smith, okay? Like, whether they like it or not, he's the Francis Ford Coppola or maybe the Scorsese of our generation, right? Like, yeah, he never had the uber successful movie, but, like Clerks, yeah, there's comedy, but there's a story in there. And then he made some weird movies that no one wanted to see, but he was trying to do something different. So we had Tusk and Red State and those movies, right? The point is, those art house movies are still being made. He can still find the money to make them. Just there isn't as much of an audience for those things.
How was your hamstring after that stretch?
No, I'm serious. Like,
no, I mean, like, okay, I agree with you. I like Kevin Smith too. I respect that he does his own thing. That's awesome. He reached a point in his career where he could be his own man. But I do think that if you're going to call the Scorsese of this era, would be Tarantino.
Yeah,
like, that's more. I think that Kevin Smith's more like I don't know.
Who made?
He's more of a Kevin Smith, basically.
I mean, Kevin Smith because of his own thing. I mean, like,
who made Slacker?
Richard Linklater. They're kind of more like contemporaries, I'd say. Like, I think he's more like a comedy director who, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Compare him more to like a more foul-mouthed Gary Marshall.
I always wondered if he ended Clerks the way he wanted to, would he have a much different career today?
What was he? I don't think I know this. What was the ending he had?
That Randall gets shot and killed in a robbery.
That would have been a much more 90s art house ending. And it probably would have got him more praise.
Yes. But people felt, at the first viewing, people thought that was too dark for the rest of the tone of the movie.
It is. It's way out of left field.
Yeah. So, but anyway, all right. So the point is, old people, get over yourselves. We're still gonna go. We're still gonna go see those movies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then we had the big news of the week, guys. Kevin Feige, on his road to world domination, has now been named Chief Creative Officer over at Marvel, overseeing film, TV, and publishing. What do we think about this?
I just think it's a pay bump.
That's it?
Because he already controls basically everything.
And it's not going to do much with the comics. He's going to let Dan Buckley keep things running at Marvel. I just don't see this being much of a shift.
Well, yeah, I mean, possibly. My question is, what happens to Loeb and Perlmutter at this point?
I mean, apparently, like, as I was reading into this from a couple other sources, it doesn't seem like he's overruling Perlmutter, because Perlmutter is like, he's still like the backbone of it. He's still the evil corporate hand behind everything, but it seems like Kevin Feige just going to have a little bit more autonomy as far as the creative direction of the company goes, because Perlmutter doesn't do much creatively.
True.
Like, he just goes in and counts pencils and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
That's true, by the way. When the company was struggling, he was literally counting pencils.
Yes, I've heard the stories too. And then what about Loeb? Like, is he...
Now him, that might be different, because that's a guy who seems to have lost his power. Like, he might be back writing comics soon.
Huh. That would be interesting. Be interesting to see him go back over to DC and do something.
Oh, I don't foresee that happening. He has to be like fired from Marvel. I don't think he's going to get fired. I just don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to have the position he has now. You know.
Maybe.
You know, there's been some talk that this does signal kind of like maybe the beginning of the end of actual movie theaters.
Well, then,
and let me connect those dots for you.
Kevin Feige getting a new job?
Well, no, it's the fact that, you know, he historically doesn't like the fact that the movie theaters take a portion of the proceeds from the movie releases.
Feige,
and with Disney, Feige, it might be Perlmutter if he's counting pencils or whatever. It's like, but the thing is that with Disney Plus, you know, and I'm getting this from like two sources that I listened to over the last week. Like, it's possible that they could release like the Black Widow movie simultaneously on Disney Plus and in the movie theaters.
No,
or they might kind of tend towards that.
Because they'll, even though they don't want to cut the profits, they make way more money putting it in the theater first than they're going to they are going to on subscriptions to Disney Plus.
Do they?
Because they go to the movie. Think about it. A family of 4. You're paying one subscription to all sit down and watch it on your TV. Going to the movie theater, you're all paying for a $10 ticket. That's $40 for one movie versus the $10 for the month where you could watch 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 movies.
How much does the theater company get out of that, though?
Half, I believe.
Okay, so that's still more money from that family of 4.
Not necessarily. Let me detour for just a minute. Give me a second. I'll come back. I promise this will make sense. So, wrestling. I always do this with this wrestling thing. WWE used to have these pay-per-views that they would do, and they would cost like $30, $40 at various times, and what they would cost. And like, they did them once a month, and in 2014, they changed their business model, and they funneled everything to their streaming service, which is $10 a month. So now, instead of paying $30 to $50 for a show once a month, you're paying $10 plus all kinds of extras. Now, I believe they're around like $1.5 million at $10 a month. You know, do the math. They weren't making that on the pay-per-views per year, but they've also shortchanged themselves in the long run because they set their price. They set themselves so low. So now because now they've kind of hit their peak. They've kind of hit their saturation point. So they're not growing. So I understand kind of where you're coming from and saying that in theory, the subscription will make you more in the long run. But that's just like, because I see this exact same thing happen. So I don't know. They're going to bank on this thing having 10, 20 million subscribers?
Well, the thing is that, you know, it's not just the number of subscribers, the number of years. It's like you'd be driving your subscription model, and if you start releasing movies at the same time on Disney Plus, you could basically put a major hurt on the theaters You could even use that as a threat to get more out of theaters, more than
I think
he's already getting with, because they've been threatening him with a lot.
So I get what you're saying, but go to the comparison back to the wrestling. How many events did they have per year? 12. Okay. How many movies does Disney put out a year?
Hundreds. I don't know. How many? I mean, they put out a lot of movies. Yeah, they put out a lot of movies. I get what you're saying, but I mean, like, it's also a law of diminishing returns. For like the Marvel, Disney's doing well right now. They're the only one that's doing well at the box office. So I don't think they're going to do this. And in fact, based on WWE, they should not cut off their partners. Because that's cutting off your nose to spite your face. Because like I said with WWE, is you've seen limited growth in the after about 3 years, their growth stopped. Like they've had a big pause. So I don't think that Disney should do that. But I get why they would think that.
Well, and you got to remember that like they're a business, right? So they may be driven by the bottom line, but they're driven by the bottom line now, not what it's going to be later.
You're right.
Most of the time.
That's a flaw in business thinking, but you're right.
Oh, it is. I mean, that's the problem. That's basically why we need regulations around companies, because they will do anything for profit. And with Disney, with the amount that they own and the fact that the last couple of movies, like Endgame, they forced movie theaters to say, okay, you have to play this for this many weeks in your largest theaters, or else we take a bigger cut, like another 5% off of the top. And, they're already pushing theaters in that direction. Like they could literally kill a couple of theater companies doing this if they started releasing them on Disney Plus. And then that would, of course, then benefit them because, okay, well, where do I want to see a Disney movie? Oh, well, the local AMC had to close down this one. Oh, I'll just go Disney Plus.
I don't know. I don't see that. Not anytime in.
It's way more complicated than I'm explaining, but
I don't see that
starting to gain traction.
I don't see that anytime in the near future. Do I think entertainment's going that way? Yes. But I don't think theaters are going anywhere in the next 5 to 10 years.
No, maybe in the next 20.
Yeah, it's not that long from now. I mean,
but that's also when
we have infrastructure. We have infrastructure for streaming, gigabytes and terabytes.
But then it's going to become when movie theaters go away, you're going to have your subscription to Disney Plus, and then for first run movies, you're going to have to pay an additional fee to watch them.
Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on. We're so new in the streams. I mean, I could see that possibly. Like you'd have like a tiered.
The cable system already does it.
Yeah,
they're going to do this.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, though. They're Disney. They have so much weight they can throw around. They could basically do this and not care about.
You're not listening to the conversation we just had. It's going to hit a point for Disney where they have so many subscriptions, they're not going to get more growth, and they're going to want to make more money. So they're going to be like, okay, the new Marvel movie is out there, but you've got to pay an extra $10 to watch it.
We'll create this new thing called movie theaters after we've killed them off.
Well, that's
you can see them with your friends now.
But that's no different than like I read before the beginning of the pay-per-view market. Like that sprung up from the closed circuit market, because back in the day you go watch a big fight or something like that at your local theater, or at an arena. If you wanted to see the big, Ali versus Foreman, you do closed circuit TV. Mm-hmm. And then pay-per-view killed the closed circuit TV market. So what we're talking about has happened before. It's all a matter of who wants to move in. It's kind of like we're going to get rid of theaters altogether. But it wouldn't surprise me if Disney were the first to say, we're going to be all streaming. If you want our stuff, come get it here. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened.
They're the ones positioned to be.
They're the only ones. They're the only ones able to. Because I think 2020 is going to be the year that we're going to hit that saturation point for the streaming services, and things will start dying.
Yeah, I think it'll happen a lot faster than people realize too. Because
that's why I said I think 2020. I think we're hitting it. Like when Disney, I think Disney Plus is the penultimate service. Now everything, like all bets are off now.
Right. So we were talking about Kevin Feige taking over as creative director, and we did get. I had shared the article on Twitter, and we got some reactions that shocked all of us, I think.
Oh, here we go. Now here comes me wanting to kill someone.
So I basically posted the article from Variety and said, is this a good thing? And 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain podcast said, let's ask Jeff Johns how well that went over at DC.
Jeff Johns ain't Kevin Feige.
So Wizard Podcast said, oh, hell yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin gif. Chris Lee Jack said, Feige hasn't joined Kennedy and Khan or their agenda, so it is okay.
I got some social justice warrior everyone's out to get him.
And then, who's this? Elizabar? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we just supposed to forget that Captain Marvel is the future of the MCU? I don't know whoever said that she was the future of the MCU, but okay.
Thanks for starting that rumor.
And then Chris Lee Jack said, never mind, I was thinking of Feige of 2008, not Feige of 2019. Yeah, MCU is doomed. Why I jumped the ship? It was a good 11-year run.
Yeah, because 2019 has been brutal for Kevin Feige. What a horrible year he's had.
Brian Shoup gave us a gif of, I can't think of his name. The comedian who broke his back in the car accident. Not recently, hit the Walmart truck.
Oh, I'm looking at him. Tracy
Morgan. Yeah, doing that. No. Nope. No. And then Pino Comics just said, Pino Comics, John from Pino Comics, said no. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't think that's a good thing. There's like this idea that people assume because Captain Marvel came out, they're going to go any kind of that way with the MCU is silly. Like, they're a business. They're going to go what's successful and what's not successful. Yes, Captain Marvel did well. So, of course, there's going to be more Captain Marvel, but they also seem to be fighting pretty hard to keep Spider-Man around for the next phase.
Nerds still think that they're the kids getting pushed around, and they have to find their enemies in every source. So you have dorks who don't actually listen to our show, because we don't talk like them, so they wouldn't find any relation to us. So they just respond to our social media that feel the need to feel attacked at all times and to get defensive. And how anyone gets mad about Kevin freaking Feige having more authority over Marvel, I have no idea. We're not talking about this stuff if this man isn't the most influential person in comics since Stan Lee. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I honestly feel like if I had some say in this, that he would give, I wouldn't say take control creatively of the comics, but have a little more oversight of like, let's tie the comics and the movies back together more to say, look, so they can turn around and say, you love all these stories on the big screen. We're doing the same thing in the comics. Come read them, and get the kids reading them again. Because I think that's been their big problem all along is that like, they're not taking the success that they're doing in the movies and trying to recreate that in the books. And you're getting books that don't look anything like the movies right now. There's all the crazy stuff going on.
Well, that's the thing, though. Do you what should the comics be beholden to what the films are doing, or should the comics be the IP farm where you experiment with ideas?
I don't know.
I believe in the latter. I don't think the people buying comics want the comics to be carbon copy clones.
I didn't say carbon copy clones, but can't we tie them together a little more? Can't we reference something that happens in the movie and the comic and make it feel like?
No, I don't think you can.
No, it wouldn't age well.
Yeah, movies are a time capsule, whereas comics continuity can last. Yeah, comic continuity can last 20 years, and you reference a continuity thing from a comic 20 years ago. People will at least try to figure out what you're talking about. A movie from 20 years ago, that's a different story. People age.
Yeah, we'll have at least 5 Spider-Man reboots by that time.
This is true.
Because
Sony's going to take the license back. So what'll happen.
We'll see. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I just I always get frustrated when I see these movies doing so well, but yet people aren't going and reading the comics. You know, like, have some appreciation for where it comes from. And it just shows you that there's a huge percentage of the population watching these movies who don't care at all about the comics.
Yes, comics are hard. Comics are hard. Like, they're an expensive medium that's only available in specialty shops.
And it requires literacy.
Well, it's not just it requires literacy. Just more people read. Like the people that read books is higher than ever because of ebooks. That hasn't worked with comics. They're expensive.
Well,
and
they're
they
visual
don't market.
medium.
They are a visual medium. Well, they are a visual medium, but they aren't marketed to kids.
Yeah.
And if you put that on Twitter, you will get people attacking you for saying that. And I've said it. And people are like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And they'll throw the direct market between. Like, people used to read a lot more comics before the direct market. And that's
no,
true.
and I am a full advocate of, yes, the direct market killed comic books. So JD, how are you feeling after hearing those fan reactions? Are you feeling a little upset, a little salty?
No, I'm okay.
You know who is feeling salty? Jared Leto.
I was wondering how you were doing this. I didn't know where you were going. I thought we had a sponsor that you didn't tell us about.
No, miss, no.
I thought planners jumped out or something.
Or Mrs. Dash.
Yes.
No, apparently, Jared Leto, and like, I saw one article and I'm like, this is just rumor, but it's popping up everywhere.
I was ready to poop on this one until I saw the source was the Hollywood Reporter. And I was
he tried to get the Todd Phillips Joker movie canceled.
Triggered.
Yeah, he basically used his agency to go and try to strong arm Warner Brothers into canceling that movie.
Well, to be fair, he asked his agent to do it, and it sounded like his agent just going, "Oh yeah, I'll make that call," and just pretty much ignored him.
Right. And then of course,
doing what a good agent would do.
Now, since then, they have parted ways, and Warner Brothers and the agency won't comment on the story. So it kind of makes it kind of funny, but then again, if it wasn't true, one of them would have said, no, that never happened, you know? Like, it's interesting, like, is that something, like, an actor should try to do? Like, do you think this is going to hurt his career?
No, I don't. Nothing hurts actors' career. Nothing. If you're good at your job, nothing will hurt your career. Google Roman Polanski.
No.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
He's still, yeah.
So, will
Google that.
Will it make Warner not want to work with him? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they'll be like, we don't need this guy. But he'll find work. He's Jared Leto. He's a good actor. He's an Oscar award-winning actor. He's crazy. His Joker wasn't very good, though. I don't know how much it was him and how much it was David Hayter, because the Suicide Squad we've kind of looked back and said this movie wasn't very good because it wasn't. And his interpretation of the Joker as, like, you know, little Joker, as I've jokingly referred to him, like, it doesn't work.
No, it didn't. And, yeah, no, you're true. You're right. I don't think if you're a good actor, it doesn't hurt your career. And it is interesting that when this story came out, then all of a sudden everywhere you were hearing, like, he was officially done as Joker, you know, like.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
Then,
right? Yeah. I don't know. And imagine, like, have either of you seen Joker yet?
No, but I'm going this weekend. I'm going to go see that and Maleficent, probably.
Like, okay, but that movie I don't think would have worked with Jared Leto as the lead. Sorry.
Oh God, no.
Not at all. Like,
maybe if you dropped acid, I don't know. It's just like.
From what I'm gathering, and again, it seems like the entire movie was just a chance to let Joaquin Phoenix just do things. Like, it didn't see, like, this isn't me, this is stuff I've read. It seems like it was just they let him kind of dictate the story and, like, the character, and, like, I don't know. The more I read about this from people I respect, the less I want to see it. So I'm not.
I know, right? That's why I've been, every time I think, like last weekend, I was like, maybe I'll just go see it. And then I caught another couple of reviews when I was going to go buy tickets. I'm like, I've got
really wish
like a lawn to mow.
Mark Bernardin is the one that really kind of.
I really want you guys to see it so I can talk to you about it.
It's a bad sign when, like, we can't even, like, get ourselves to go out and see a comic book movie.
It's not, that's the thing. It's not a comic book movie, so it's understandable.
I I've heard things, but okay. I mean, you've seen it.
It's a movie with a version of Joker in it, but there is nothing in it at all that feels like a comic book movie.
If it doesn't tie into Watchmen, I don't.
Oh yes, Dr. Manhattan does show up at the end. That was weird.
And Deadpool for some reason. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't get it. All right. Speaking of Suicide Squad, there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tell me, are the costumes looking more comic book?
Well, I was going to say there have been a bunch of set photos released for the movie, and yeah, I would say they upped the comic book look a lot from the last one.
I just say that the link that you sent us to peruse is just Jared. So even the worst tabloids that are only known for posting hot pics of current celebs is doing reviews of comic book stuff now and contributing to the rumor mill. This is how big Marvel has gotten it.
I didn't even know that. I just clicked on the first link that had photos from the set because I knew they were all over the place.
Yeah. Just like the first three major links for them is Taylor Swift, Jamie Dornan, and Kim Kardashian.
I should have known when you were really excited that I sent this link.
I was not excited. I was a little excited, but the thing is, so I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, these are comic book costumes. What happened to the gritty realism and all that? I don't get it. I mean,
yes,
okay,
and it's nice to see that. What's his name? Nathan Fillion isn't just a voice. He actually is in costume.
He's going to die. Everyone in that shot, maybe not Pete Davidson, they're all going to die.
Any good story with the Suicide Squad involves most of the members dying.
Right.
Like every single one.
Once when we saw that big list, oh my God, so many of these people are going to die. Dude, John Cena's rocking a beard right now for this movie. I almost didn't recognize him.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I think, in Gunn's wheelhouse to kill them all.
Oh yeah, very excited about this entire thing.
And they're going to die brutally too.
Brutally.
If they do it right, they will be brutal, like Mortal Kombat style finishing moves.
There's definitely going to be a link, not only to the rant in the description. There'll be a link to see these photos because if you haven't seen them yet, I mean, number one, what rock are you living under? And two, I'd love to see DC get away from trying to be doing the gritty realism stuff. Because come on.
But you definitely don't hire James Gunn.
Right, exactly. Let's have fun with comic book movies.
Well, you can say that, but if you look, if anybody wants to go and watch the animated Suicide Squad movie, Hell to Pay, that came out last year, directed by Sam Liu, that was gritty realism. Of course, they all died, but
that's their animation tends to go that way, though. The animation is different. You're playing to a different audience. The people that watch the DC animated movies aren't kids; they tend to be older. Tend to be older people. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say the DC.
You resemble that remark.
The DC animation is made, I think, for a specific crowd. It's not a broad spectrum hit with those things.
I let Andy watch it.
Yeah, I mean, they're well made. I enjoy the hell out of them, but they're not family friendly cartoons.
No, they're not. But again, if they're not as brutal as that cartoon was, then they're doing the movie wrong. And that cartoon was brutal. Oh,
you got a director. This is James Gunn was the guy behind the evil Superman movie that came out last year. I can't remember the title of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Burn Bright. Thank you.
Brightburn.
Yes. And then he's also he was the guy behind. I believe he wrote Dawn of the Dead or something like that. The evil Slug movie. He wrote that. He was directed that one too. Slither. Yes.
Oh, Slither was. Oh God, Jesus, that was
gross, but awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it was completely awesome. It was also it should have come with a coupon for a therapist. I mean,
yes.
But he's also
so you got a guy who can get brutal.
He's also the guy that got Michael Rooker to say, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." So I mean,
true,
talented,
multi-talented. So yeah, I just think it looks good, and I'm so waiting for a trailer for this, and hopefully it redeems the first Suicide Squad movie. Also, speaking of DC movies, the Batman has found its Riddler in Paul Dano.
Didn't know we were looking.
Yeah, I didn't know we were looking either. It's interesting. Someone pointed this out on another podcast. Like, it used to be they would say someone got cast, or they would try to keep things under wraps. And now it's like, oh, this person got cast, and here's who they're playing. You know?
I don't know. There was no mystery when Jack Nicholson was cast to play the Joker.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess they've always done that with superhero movies.
Yeah. Like when Jim Carrey played the Riddler, everybody went, "Oh my God, Jim Carrey's playing the Riddler."
Yeah, it would have been nice though if some of them, like, we're still kind of sore about they could have left Tom Holland out of the reveal until Civil War. Yeah, if they had left him out and left that as a surprise, that would have been nice. But in this day and age, with the kind of media exposure we've got, there's like no way to keep anything secret anymore. Yeah. Really,
I'm of two minds on that. Yeah, you could have done that, and it would have made for a nice reveal. But at the same time, like getting people excited, you might have sold a few more tickets because people were thrilled to see Spider-Man.
This is true. So do we know anything about this guy playing the Riddler?
He's not Jim Carrey.
I was going to ask you guys the same thing.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything that he's been in, so he's an unknown. So I guess in that sense, it's a good thing because you don't go on any preconceptions with how this actor might play the character. Where, again, with Jim Carrey, you kind of had an idea what you were going to get when you walked into that movie theater. So this could be interesting.
He does look like the guy who plays the Riddler on Gotham, doesn't he? I mean, he's got kind of the youthful appearance.
Yeah, he's got a little more fuller face though. And that's the thing, the guy, I can't think of the actor's name who plays him on Gotham, but like, he is kind of how I picture him, like a lanky, type of character. So we shall see.
Oh, he's been, yeah. Okay, so he's been in Swiss Army. Oh, he was in Swiss Army Man. Oh, that's why he's big enough to get this. That's interesting. Do you guys know what Swiss Army Man is?
I've heard it, but I've never seen it.
No.
Daniel Radcliffe was in it. He played a dead guy that was haunting, or maybe possibly haunting this guy who was played by Paul Dano. So that's pretty good. He's been in a couple of things, I guess. Ruby Sparks.
I need to see this movie.
Looper.
Oh, okay.
He was in 12 Years a Slave. So not the Cowboys and Aliens. Oh, there we go.
Wait, he wasn't the main guy in Looper, was he?
No, that was Joseph.
Oh, okay, that's right.
He played Seth in Looper.
All right. Huh.
So he's got some attributes that are Riddler-ish, so good.
The other thing that we didn't talk about last week, and it got finalized, I think, after we recorded anyway, so apparently Jonah Hill was also in negotiations to play a character in the movie. That's the rumor, but then apparently he walked away, saying that, it wasn't going to work out.
We still haven't learned, have we? It's like, let's make a movie. Okay, we'll make it about a superhero. Great. How many villains can we pile into this?
That was what my point was going to be. Like, wait, Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin.
This sounds familiar, doesn't it?
So there's a rumor that this movie's going to be loosely based on The Long Halloween, which there are a lot of villains in that story, but you're taking a book that's, canon in the comics, and you don't have to build backstories for these characters in the story. But in movies, we have a tendency to try to create the character's origin every time we reintroduce them.
Counterpoint. Marvel and Spider-Man have proved we don't have to do that.
Right, but this is Warner Brothers.
Which is good. But then Spider-Man's kind of that's kind of a exception to the rule because they'd already done his origin twice.
You're right. Batman, we've only seen those parents get shot in the alley 13 times.
Well, maybe 14. Yeah, it's just like I have nightmares about pearls bouncing on the pavement.
So Warner Brothers. Okay, look, you guys aren't that interested in seeing the movie. You mentioned the parents getting shot. End of the Joker movie. That's all I'm gonna say. So
we had three villains in Batman Begins, and they balanced it out pretty good.
We had three. Who's the third?
They had Joe Chill, the Scarecrow, and Ra's al Ghul.
Okay, but you don't care about Joe Chill. Like, but he's just at the they don't go into any detail with Joe Chill. He's just the guy who kills the parents at the beginning.
And Scarecrow was tertiary to the whole storyline. He was there, he was part of it, but he wasn't being. It wasn't like what they did with Spider-Man 3, where they tried to have too many main villains.
Right, and then
yes. But I agree with that. I'm saying that as long as Batman doesn't go the Spider-Man 3 route and just has these guys doing things.
But then when you go to The Dark Knight, you have the Joker, which you don't give a backstory to because you don't give the Joker a backstory because it just ruins the character. Oh, sorry. And then you had Harvey Dent, his descent into becoming Two-Face, which was kind of like the driving force behind the story.
And the Long Halloween, actually.
Exactly. So... yeah, that was the thing too, because like they even said they gave The Long Halloween as prep material for that movie to some of the actors.
I believe in Dent.
Yes,
from The Long Halloween.
So,
you know what's missing though? Did anybody call up Arnold Schwarzenegger and give him a new list of ice puns?
Got a new Terminator coming out, man.
I know, but
worst casting ever.
No, it was the most fun casting ever.
No. Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl is the worst casting ever.
Yes, I agree with that. And she didn't really care either.
So, speaking of castings, and this blip popped up and it kind of went away real quickly. An actor who actually said he had interest in playing the Penguin, and it's a name you haven't heard in a long time, was Jason Alexander.
I was going to say Dan.
That is not going to happen.
Yeah.
No chance.
Patton Oswalt, on the other hand.
I could see that.
Yeah, but
and he's game for everything.
I like Patton Oswalt, but I could see it being too cartoony with him as the Penguin.
Like I said, he's up for anything.
I think it depends on that's where really is going to come to a director. Like, what's the director going to tell him to do? Because when you cast someone, they've got to follow the game plan.
Well, let's give it to Zack Snyder then.
Kiss your mother with that.
My mother is a non-geek, and even she knows who Zack Snyder is, and not in a good fashion.
My mom's dead, and I'd rather kiss her than watch Zack Snyder do this film.
Poor Zack.
Hey, it could be worse. He could have been Zimmer.
Your irrational hatred for all things Zimmer.
No, never.
No. It only just makes me angry.
That Zimmer Superman theme.
Yeah.
I can't.
Exactly.
All right. So
this last one I've never heard of before.
So for those who are familiar with Valiant Comics and their flagship character Bloodshot,
see, I thought this was about what my eyes were going to look like at the end of this.
They have their first comic.
Is that legal in Pennsylvania?
They have their first comic book movie coming out, based on the character Bloodshot, and it's starring Vin Diesel. And the trailer dropped earlier this week, and I sent the link to all you guys to watch it. Did you have a chance to watch it, and what did you think?
Yes, it looks good. Yeah, it looks good. It's going to be interesting. I mean, Vin Diesel. Giving nanites to Vin Diesel is like giving like metal armor to Superman. It's like, what did you need that for? Didn't you see him in Fast and Furious? He's like indestructible anyway.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know anything about Valiant comics. I might have some in my collection down in my basement, but it's been so long. I did see that because of this trailer coming out that Comics Explained put out a short introductory on this character, so I didn't get to listen to it before.
I think they did
this.
get a job setting up the character in the trailer, though. You know, he's a soldier who gets killed in war. They bring him back to life using nanobots, and then they send him basically on missions as an assassin, and then they reset him all the time, or they like erase his memories.
You know that any movie that has a trailer starring the music of the Man in Black, it's going to be tragic.
You ever hear the song Iron Man from Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty much Bloodshot. Like if you listen to the words, the lyrics, that's pretty much his origin story.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Which makes me wonder, and I don't know who created Bloodshot, but it makes me wonder, was he drinking and listening to that?
I believe Jim Shooter.
Oh, yes, I believe you're right, because he was a big part.
He was the guy who created
Valiant. He was the big guy behind Valiant. Yes, okay. So, Jim, obviously you were listening to some Black Sabbath, partaking of something, and you came up with Bloodshot. Sounds good.
The Sweet Leaf, I believe, is the next song in that Best Bud album. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll see this movie. Like, Bloodshot is not my favorite Valiant. Like, when they did the Valiant relaunch in like 2012, I want to say, there were some really good books that came out of that. Like, I read some of them when I was a kid, the old ones, but there's properties there that I like more than Bloodshot.
I feel like they wanted Exo Man of War to be their flagship character, but I think Bloodshot became more popular and just kind of took over.
Yeah.
You know,
I think problem Exo Man of War is how do you do him in a world that's had Iron Man?
Yeah, exactly. He feels like an Iron Man ripoff, and it kind of feels like, you know, Fantastic Four launched the Marvel Age of Comics, but Spider-Man was more popular, so he became the flagship character. It's that kind of story too, I think. And and if you can get Vin Diesel to star in your movie, you know, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good story for these two kids that graduated from University Penn Law School, bought the Valiant properties, and like for the purposes of doing this, and it took them like 15 years to launch the company and get all. It's actually a really cool story.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm happy they finally got it. Like I said, I'm not a huge Vin Diesel fan. The Chronicles of Riddick are, you know, they just kind of are.
There's another one coming up too.
Well, Pitch Black was good, but the Chronicles of Riddick was
they're working on another one, guys.
Yeah. I mean, they just, like I said, it just kind of is. But I don't know. I'm not going to lie. When it comes out, I'll see it.
Yeah, I'm excited to have another superhero movie come out that has a big star in it and is in a Marvel DC movie too. Like, let's get some of the other properties out in front, you know?
I wonder if that's going to work, though.
It's a gamble. I do believe that. I believe it's a big gamble for them, but if it works, you know, more power to them.
Yeah.
You know, then maybe we can finally get a Zenoscope movie. What big boobed women can we get to star in it?
Just watch Cinemax.
Cinemax is dead. Cinemax After Dark died a long time ago. You can't compete with the internet.
John used to be a faithful watcher every night.
I was not, and I don't know how I know what I just said. So there were articles on it. Actually, I forget where I saw the article.
Sure, articles. Yes, and you read Playboy for the articles. I get it.
They do have some good articles.
They used to have they had some award-winning articles.
Alex Haley wrote for Playboy.
They had articles in that? Dude, guys, there were pictures of naked chicks in there. Come on.
I grew up in the internet age. I don't need pictures. I got the computer.
Yes, but before mobile phones, the magazine was more portable.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
Not as high.
No, that's true. Yes, you can easily close. Oh my God, let's just get off of this right now.
That's what she said.
Thus the podcast degraded
me. So beneath me.
That is.
Yet I took it.
All right.
How far did you have to dig for that one?
All right, now let's. All right, now
there's another interview.
I have no way to segue into our interview now. So we're going to wrap up this week with another interview that we got from New York Comic Con this year. John and I had a chance to sit down with Cynthia Von Buhler. She is a writer, producer, comic book creator, actress. What else would you say, John?
Basically everything. I mean, she's like a media magnate. But she's art. Yeah, basically everything you said and more. I mean,
she was
right now they're doing performance.
Right. So she was there. She had done a book, The Illuminati Ball, with Titan Comics, which was a comic and a play. And what was interesting is that it's a multi-room play.
It's an interactive
multi-room play. So you walk around this house and there's things going on in each room, and
the actors are there. You just walk amongst the actors.
Right. And they all piece together to a story. And it was interesting. And I'd never heard of anything like that before. So we sat down and we talked with them, and without much further ado, here is Cynthia Von Buhler.
So as we were saying, like, all right, so you have the Illuminati Ball. No, yes. I read the excerpt.
Okay.
And it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the genre?
That's a really good question. I don't know what the genre is. I mean, I'd say probably science fiction, but it's based on real science. So it's science fiction, or I don't know. They have what was the genre they put it up on Amazon as? I think that was something like.
I found the excerpt on a website. One of the links that I found when we were doing research for this.
Yeah, actually, they put it in a really weird section of Amazon. I can't remember what it was, but secret societies or something like that.
They cross-referenced Pig and Illuminati and I think like steampunk and
it probably should be in science fiction, I would think. Just graphic novels is not a that's just a type of book. Yeah.
And just to let our listeners know, we're sitting here with Cynthia Von Buhler, who has done but that's okay because so the first interview of the New York Comic Con 2019, and again, Cynthia Von Buhler is here, who wrote the Illuminati Ball, and there's going to be a performance at a undisclosed location? Or
yes, it's a secret location, and that's tomorrow night. Yes, everyone has to apply and become accepted, and we get applications from all over the world, and we are accepting about 300 people. And, we're sold out now. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Might be able to fit a couple people in, but...
And we're here with two of the actors for this. The Pig King, who is played by...
Hi, I'm Vinny, Vincent Cinque.
And...
I'm PJ Mead.
And you're playing what?
I am helping produce.
Okay.
I'm just dressed as Commodanu for today, but a different actress plays her during the show.
Okay. Yeah, when you walked in, you had these beautiful masks, which we'll post pictures of because we can also put pictures. But
yes, that's the Commodanu character, the cow mother figure, and he is Pig King, also the Baron de Rothschild, right?
How much of the story do you want to discuss?
Oh, we could say whatever you want.
Great.
Say whatever you want, and so Vinny Cinque. Cinque. I can't even say his name right, and I'm Italian. And Cinque. Vinny Cinque. He also played Houdini in my other book. My book from the last year was The Girl Who Handcuffed Houdini.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah. That we also did a show for that last year. For a couple months, we had a show going every night. And Vinny played Houdini. He actually went into the water tank and did all the tricks and everything.
Quite an experience, and tomorrow's going to be pretty crazy too. We have a lot of crazy stuff planned.
You were actually in the water tank.
Yeah, we actually did the water tank trick.
Many times throughout the night.
Yeah.
I actually was in the water tank too. I was a stunt double. I was naked in the water tank at the end as a stunt double.
So yeah, we had like extensive tank training and like got to know the tank as much as we could. It was like its own character in the show that we had to learn how to work with.
And isn't that the trick that killed Houdini?
No.
Houdini died because of a punch in the gut. That's what the whole story was investigating, was what was the actual story behind it? Was there any kind of motive behind it? Did somebody try and kill him?
Right.
Or did he really just die of natural causes from it, or
right? Like, was it? It was actually a ruptured appendix that he died from, but people weren't sure if it was from the punch. Also,
Right.
there are many rumors out there that he was poisoned. So my book is an investigation of that, because this was through Hard Case Crime Titan Comics. So it was an investigation. I have this character called Minky Woodcock, and she does these investigations in the Prohibition era.
What was it? What drove you to? I mean, what brought you to that idea to do that? I mean,
I actually, many years ago in 2011, my first play was called Speakeasy Dollhouse, and it was about the murder of my grandfather during Prohibition. My grandfather was a bootlegger, and he owned speakeasies in Manhattan, and he was mysteriously murdered, and no one knew why. So I started looking into it, and I made it into a play, and I'm working on it as a book. And so then that play went for 5 years in New York City. So I started doing other plays about mysterious murders or mysterious deaths during that same time period. So Houdini was just one of the books that I was working on. Yeah, I have other stories that are coming out about other murders, mysterious murders.
Oh, well, some of those wouldn't be like, but who will bell the cats? Like that.
No. No, I guess I've done many books, but Who the Bell the Cats. I also write and illustrate children's books. Mm-hmm. So Who the Bell the Cats is about, it's for children, and that's through Harcourt, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Yeah.
So you're, an artist, producer, writer. You've worn many different hats. How do you view yourself as a creator?
I just think of myself as an artist.
Okay.
So I see all of these, books and plays and paintings. It's all just a different way of being creative and expressing myself. So just artist.
So what
even writing is an art, right? So it's artist. Yeah.
So what drew you to doing graphic novels?
Well, I actually, because I was writing and illustrating children's books, and I really love books in general, but I prefer books with pictures, like when I create them. I read all kinds of books, but I like making books with pictures because I'm a visual artist first and foremost. So I was feeling a little stifled by doing only children's books, which I love, but I wanted to do books for adults. So when graphic novels started becoming really popular, I was so happy. I did a graphic novel called Evelyn with Amanda Palmer, that she's Neil Gaiman's wife, and he also did the afterword for that book. So that sort of got me into it. I started doing it with sort of Evelyn was sort of a picture book / graphic novel, very dark, about these conjoined twins. So that's sort of I did that. I illustrated that book, and then I started creating my own.
Do you find that when you approach doing a graphic novel, do you writing it? Do you take a different way? Like, is it the same as if you were writing a play, or do you look at it differently?
It's different because the pictures come first. It's really about the pictures and the imagery. I mean, I guess it's similar with a play because I'm thinking of the set and all of that. But writing a play is different than writing a graphic novel. Writing a play the way I do, like an immersive play, you have to write almost 5 different scripts because you have to write different scripts for every room because people wander through it. So, right? Yeah.
And so
it's a little complicated as an actor. It's complicated.
And also, I got to direct the Houdini piece last year as well. Yeah. And so, you're not just dealing with people sitting in seats looking at a stage. Part of it was we had the stage show, but then we had the bar area, we had the lobby area, we had a townhouse next door to this bar and theater with 2 rooms upstairs that we totally transformed from like a total dirt hole. It was terrible, and she transformed it into these 2 beautiful rooms. She's also a beautiful set designer as well. It really, she's a magician, better than Houdini. But and so it's really this giant puzzle that you really have to put together. And it's so cool to see it go both ways. Because Minky Woodcock was made from the book. The book came first, and then we made the show based on the book. Mm-hmm. But with the Illuminati ball, at this one, we did the show first, and then the book came from doing the show.
Right. We've been doing this show since when? Since 4 years now? 3 or 4 years now. Yeah.
This is the 4th year.
That's BJ over there. Yeah. And we all, Vinny, that's right. Vinny did direct the Houdini show, and he also is helping with the direction of the Illuminati ball now. PJ also does some direction as well. It's very collaborative.
So how do you direct a show where the audience wanders around in the area?
Do you want to answer that, PJ?
Well, there are two parts of the show. There's parts that are on the stage, and I think that that's directed a little more traditionally, although you do have to be aware of the fact that the audience will be anywhere that they can put themselves, they will put themselves there. In terms of the interaction, that's almost something that comes with practice. A lot of times when our actors are first kind of thrust into it, they struggle with it a little bit. And then once they do it once or twice, they really get the hang of how to incorporate the dialogue with speaking to the audience. In those scenes, they really want to seem conversational and not presentational.
It's kind of like a masterclass in improv almost, right?
Absolutely.
It is. It really is. And they do tend to get better over time. And that's one of the reasons why I use all of the same actors over and over again in all of my shows. Like Vinny is just amazing. First of all, he's an amazing actor, whether it's just, in a film, if he's in a film or whatever, he's an amazing actor, but he's also really great with interacting with people and just speaking, sometimes you have to just be spontaneous when you're thrown something, right? A curveball, and someone comes at you and asks you a question and there's no script for it. You have to make it up. And Vinny's very good at that.
And a lot of our actors are not really trained performers. Some of them are, and some of them just have regular jobs during the day and come down and do our shows. And then on the other hand, we find that sometimes we get highly trained actors who cannot handle it.
They're too scripted. Some people think of it as, I find that the people who are best at doing immersive theater tend to be performers, like burlesque performers or lead singers for a band. I was actually the lead singer of a band for many years. And I think that with immersive theater, those are the types of people, like a burlesque performer is used to standing on a table and, and interacting with a crowd in a theatrical way. So I find that those people are often better than a stage actor.
Okay.
Right? So, and Vinny's in a band too. What's your band's called?
Band's called Cardboard Rocket Ship. It's a folk band, totally different vein than this.
My band was Woman of Sodom, which is a totally different thing too. It was an all-female S&M band.
So I have two questions to wrap it up with. We actually sign off our podcast by saying, "Don't let your cape get caught in the door," which actually started as a joke, but it's morphed into meaning don't let your shortcomings get in your way of success.
Okay.
What are some shortcomings you've had in your life that you've overcome?
I'll start. We were talking about this today. I am agoraphobic, and I have a fear of the marketplace, which is how the definition, but something like coming to Comic-Con is very stressful for me. Doing shows and running all these people, it's like 100 people under, coming to me, wanting help and wanting to know what to do next with emergencies. So I've really had to throw myself into it, and the best way of getting over your fears is by doing them.
There's only 250,000 people at New York Comic Con. I don't see what the
my
problem
actors
is.
are they're saying, "Oh, this is so fun," and I'm saying, "I hate Comic Con."
How about yourself?
Maybe don't include that clip.
I mean, like PJ was saying before, everybody's doing their own thing, and we all have jobs during the day. We're all doing our own life, and it's just really getting yourself into that world and trying to figure out how just acting and going out into the crowd and doing that one-on-one performance with an audience member is really just putting yourself out there, and is all about vulnerability and really just breaking over any barrier, any fear that you have to be able to provide the best performance that you can. So really every night that you do a performance is you're overcoming shortcomings by putting yourself out there and being vulnerable.
Every once in a while, Cynthia makes me act. It's not my favorite thing to do.
She's pretty good. She played me for a while. She played me as a 16-year-old.
Yes, I find that it's definitely something that scares me, and I am nervous while I'm doing it. But like Cynthia says, I will exercise my fear and get through it.
Yeah.
And then related to that, the question we like to wrap up on is, how do you measure success?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask that. You start.
In terms of the show, if we can make enough money, that's really successful. And I think in terms of the whole process, if I'm having fun every day, then that's success for me.
As an actor, it's really when the show doesn't feel like work and it really just feels like fun, like PJ was saying, and when you could just kind of live in it and enjoy it, and then the night goes by and you're like, oh wow, it was a great fun night.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking in terms of the show, I find it's successful when I'm in the environment during the show and I'm lurking, or I like to lurk. I'm not in the show and watch. And when I see people really enjoying it and just getting into it and transforming them, like they think that they're in this world, then that gives me joy, and that's why I do it. And we've actually had people say this was the best experience of their life. Oh, wow. So that to me is success. If someone says that, and if it changes people and makes them think, then that's success.
Cool. I like that answer.
So where can people find your work, and where should they go for future stuff?
Okay, so the new book, The Illuminati Ball, you can find out more about it on our website, theilluminatiball.com. There's videos there of the show, and you can also, there's links to where you can buy the book there. I also have a website called cynthiavonbuhler.com, where you can access my art and everything I do. I have it all in different categories because I do different things. The Minky Woodcock book, it's under minkywoodcock.com. So I think that those are the three places. I think that if it's a publisher, or I'm sorry, if it's a comic book store, you can go to Titan Comics and to order the comics.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right. That was a wonderful interview, John. Kudos to you. You asked most of the questions in that one.
What do you guys say? I mean, it was a much more fun interview than I thought it would be, because I was literally scared.
So no, it was interesting because we were doing our research the night before, and he's like, "I don't know what we're going to talk about," and then it was like night and day when he walked in and turned the recorder on. John was just, "Go! I have all these great questions," and had a great conversation.
Yeah, sorry. My audio dropped out there for a second, but I walked in there scared, absolutely terrified, and it turned out to be a real fun interview. It set the tone for the rest of our. I mean, this was the real first one that we did, so it set the tone for the rest of the New York Comic Con that weekend.
That was the first one you guys did?
Yeah, it was. It was at like 10 o'clock on Thursday, and
damn.
And we have many more to still get out, but
yep.
All right, guys. You have anything, John or JD, you'd like to add before we call it a night or call it a week?
I don't know. We could leave before JD comes up with another bad joke. Cause...
Oh, is that your thing? I'm not supposed to do that anymore?
No, I don't want to go with any either. I mean, I had so many flash in my mind. Yeah. So fun. Yeah. So CW. Can't wait for that to start.
I was actually going to recommend, if you're interested in watching The Crisis, you might want to watch Arrow and Flash at least. For last week's, because there were things that things that happened that in those episodes that are definitely setups for Crisis. So,
yeah, nothing yet in Supergirl or Batwoman or Black Lightning, and Legends doesn't.
Well, I'm also wondering with Batwoman, like how they're going to catch up to current time, because it feels like they went back in time to tell her origin.
They did, but they've just about already caught up. She's already in the wig, so
right.
We're good now. It could happen anywhere. It could happen anywhere within the next couple of episodes. That episode that they had with the crossover.
Yeah, I guess they're not gonna. Yeah, I guess they're not gonna really talk about all of that. They're just gonna say you know what's going on.
Yep.
Don't over-explain, right? Do we already have that conversation tonight?
No, they're not going to have time. They have so many cameos to get through.
Oh my god.
That's true. I'm wondering how they're going to balance all those out.
I just hope it doesn't become one of those things where Flash is running through a time tunnel thing and it's just flashes of them going by.
No, it can't be.
Like in that Simpsons episode when they go to Shelbyville and they had all the alternate versions of all the Simpsons characters.
Exactly. All right. On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.